Good evening and a happy early Merry Christmas and a happy holidays as it is the Christmas season here on the Odyssey Files. I am your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, is my co host, Mr. David Sorry. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mike, and merry early Christmas to everybody. Got a little bit of snow on the ground, so I'm kind of is in the Christmassy kind of frame of mind.
Which will be all gone at least by Thursday, as it's
Yeah,
supposed to go up into the 40s once again. Yay!
yeah. Growing up in the Midwest my whole life, it's kind of like one of those things. We were talking about it last night, and I'm like, I spent a couple of Christmases out in Phoenix, and it just doesn't ever feel like Christmas to me if it's not like there's not snow on the ground. Like I need to have some I need to look out the window and see snow, and then kind of like that sets the mood for me for Christmas.
So I'm going to respond to that with two quick points.
Yep.
One, as a delivery driver, I don't mind snow as long as it's not on the roads or on the driveways.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can be 10 feet tall if they want. Not
I
not
agree. I
not
love
not
tall
not
grass.
not on the road, not on the road, not on the driveways.
Yep.
And second, I think the like drivers of any transportation company, whether it's semi or package or whatever, UPS fact doesn't matter. They're the only ones who can justifiably say bah humbug.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. The only ones that get to justifiably say bah humbug.
I've never. I don't think I've ever used that term like in my life. I'm like I probably have said it as I'm maybe discussing the movie it's from, or like I saw it in a movie or something, but I don't think I've ever said that like during the course of conversation.
Neither have I. At least not when attributed to Christmas. But I'm just saying, if we did, it would be justifiable.
Okay, I'll give
But I I still love Christmas. It's still my favorite time of year, and so uh, we only have two shows left in
you this year.
2023,
Yeah.
and they're both going to be Christmas themed to
Yep.
get ready for the holidays. So tonight we are going to, by genre, discuss kind of our favorite Christmas movies, and we will come up with an answer for is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not. So
We're gonna try. Let's put it that way.
stay, stay tuned for that conversation.
Yeah. Hour
Um,
two.
hour two, we do have wonderful mailbag questions to get to here in a minute, but I'm going to start with a story of my own. Now, for many, many years, we have done this show, and for many, many years, I have made fun of and decimated cats
Yeah.
to the point where people are shocked when I'm like, I don't really have any problem with cats. Um, I just really like making fun of them
Yeah.
until this past weekend.
Oh.
So, my team and I had an investigation, an amazing location. Uh, First time really been like investigated by a reputable team. Um, Historic location, so it has a ton of history to it. Can't say where it is or what it is, but great, great location. We're nearing the end of the night, and I'm doing an experiment where I have, um, I believe we were doing the REM pod experiment. I have three different REM pods now, three different kinds, not three REM pods, but three different models, I guess you could call it. So I want to throw them out on a table and see if they could pick a good one, or one that they liked. Which one was easiest to use? And I believe I had turned on the new plasma ball at that point in time, thinking that it put out no energy whatsoever. And Dave, you're going to have to. I've been wanting to talk to you about this because it's really strange.
Sure. Go ahead.
When I first got it,
Yep.
I turned it on because I wanted to see how much energy it put out.
Right.
Put the millimeter right next to it, 0.0. I was so upset. I'm like, this doesn't throw out any energy whatsoever.
Right.
But I'm like, it's cool because it's still, as a kid, it follows your fingers. It's really a awesome piece.
Yep.
So I put it on the table with the other REM pods and turn it on, and they all flip and go nuts. I'm like, whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah.
How could that happen if it puts out no energy? Put the K2 next to it, and it beats it up to red constantly. Like it's throwing out a good amount of energy. And so on the other side of it, so on left side, I have the K2, other side, I have the millimeter still shows 0.0. How is that flipping possible? They both read EMF.
Millimeter's broken.
I don't know if it was even a brand new battery at that point in time.
I would say that maybe the millimeter, there's something wrong with the millimeter and it's not performing its actions as it should. Because if you've got multiple pieces on a table responding to turning that ball on, and I've got one from the 1980s, one of the original ones that was sold through Sharper Image back in like 82. So,
Nice.
And that sucker, when you put your hand on it, like the electricity comes out of the ball. You can actually like feel it pull your fingertips. You can actually feel the electrical current come out of the ball. So, for putting that on the table and having multiple pieces of equipment tell you that there's now an energy field of some abnormal energy field going on, but the millimeter not responding, I'd say the millimeter is not doing its job.
Probably. All right, that's not why I hate cats. That's just
no. That has nothing to do with cats. That's just a side note.
That's not the cat's fault.
No. That's
all right. All right. So I have the plasma ball going. All of a sudden, all of us start hearing this like a muffled, disembodied voice, like somebody's trying to talk to us. And again, towards the end, and I haven't heard anything like it. One of the people that was there was like, well, I thought I heard a cat meow. It's earlier in the night. I'm like, no, that obviously was not a meow. It was not a meow. It was like,
yep.
And so we're trying to figure it out, and we hear it like 3 or 4 more times. Like I'm almost about to get words out of it. And I'm like, they're trying. I'm like, can you do this? Does this help? We're trying to figure it out. I turn around, and behind me, there's a bunch of windows. And I just, because we're trying to figure it out, so I'm like, is there anybody outside? Is there anything going on?
Yep.
There, sitting on the porch outside, is a fat flipping cat who is throwing out her "I'm in heat" scent, come and F me to all the male cats around. And not only that, but there's a male cat just down the steps who's answered the call.
She's throwing out some Christmas joy.
Yes, apparently. And so the that we thought was a disembodied voice in this very important investigation was the promiscuous mewlings of a fat flipping cat. Cat and heat. And after a while, we had turned back to because it captured the attention of all of my investigators. Oh, look at it. It's so cute. Oh, look at no, it's not. It's ruining my investigation, and it needs to be punted off the deck. When we turned back, they had both retired to below the patio to get their business on at that point in time. So now, I do have something against cats. It tried to ruin my investigation, and I will not allow that. Anyways, with that said, we have the Odyssey Files is proud to present the mailbag. All right.
As I say, I got nothing for the cat lovemaking story for you.
That's all right. I didn't really expect you to really just be like, well, in the cat's defense. No. Just
No. Right.
just
I
no.
would have been with you. I would have shooted off the porch and been like,
What?
go get busy someplace else. Go down to the neighbor's house and get busy because we're busy in here. We don't need to have cat sex going on the
Yeah.
video.
My investigations are no place for a slut cat to
Right.
do its business. So,
Obviously,
okay.
if it was fat, it was somebody's cat too. So just point.
Oh, it was well fed.
Cats. Yeah, I was going to say cats. Like cats that are outside cats are usually pretty thin and stealthy. If this was like a big Mama Garfield looking cat, she was somebody's pride and joy.
Yeah. I mean, I think another 5 pounds and it would have been the villain for Chip and Dale.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go.
So, because Fat Cat was the thing for Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, right?
Yeah.
Did I have that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure I did.
that's going back in time, but yeah,
All righty.
I'm going to go with it.
All righty. So we have another great mailbag here for everybody, and we'll be starting here. So number 1, why do noises stop as soon as you open the door? This has happened to myself and my parents a few times. We'd hear really loud sounds coming from the kitchen, what can only be described as a load of plates being dropped and smashed on the floor. But as soon as we'd open the kitchen door to investigate, the smashing sounds would instantly stop, and the room would be completely empty and still. Another time, when my friend was staying over, we both heard this strange medieval sounding music coming from one of the unused bedrooms. And yet again, as soon as I opened the door, it instantly stopped. I've heard other people describe the exact same phenomena, so it seems to be a thing. Do you guys have any idea as to why this is happening? Well, you're in luck, because I do. Because this person is right. This happens all the time. All the time. You see it in these re-dramatization shows all the time. They hear something and they open the door and it's, oh, there's nothing there. The narrator comes on and starts talking about how they brushed it off. Here's my best guess as to what is going on. When it happens as you say it is, I think you're dealing more with residual sounds and happenings as opposed to intelligent. And we always talk about, well, what triggers residual energy, and that is when the environment and the conditions of the environment are perfect to the point where they recreate whatever it is that they are recreating. In this instance, it's the plates and this medieval music, although that's a weird one to get, medieval music, but
strange one.
Obviously, like the dishes and the kitchen sound, that's actually a very common occurrence. The medieval music, not so much. So I'm wondering if maybe you just, I don't know what you were hearing. I honestly don't even know what medieval music sounds like. So
like the lute at like the Renaissance Festival or something like that is what comes to my mind, right? Like somebody walking around strumming a lute, like a little stringed instrument. I don't know. That's a good one. Medieval. I don't know what the hell medieval music is either.
But the thing about it is the conditions have to be perfect. I used a while ago, I can't even remember what the topic was now. The comparison to a tornado. All sorts of different things have to be perfect and fit in the right order in order to create, this tornado. Same as with residual energy. Now, when you interrupt that, when you add in your own energy, when you move the kitchen door, all of that changes the energy of the room, therefore making the conditions of it no longer perfect, and it instantly stops. That's just my theory on why that happens all the time, because you're introducing something different into the environment, and therefore, like I said, the conditions are not perfect to continue it going on. That's all I got.
It was good. I just was looking up quick what they consider
Medi-
medieval music.
medieval music.
Yeah, and Gregorian chants showed up, and then
I thought that might have been it.
yeah, and I'm still thinking like Renaissance festival, Renaissance fair type of strumming with the lute, and then secular music of the Middle Ages in Europe, Western Europe, from approximately the 6th to the 15th century. So anyway, we're not going to get into detail, but as YouTube, as amazing as YouTube can be, relaxing medieval music from the Middle Ages, 10-hour long. So if you want to listen to medieval music, you can go search for it on YouTube, and there's a 10-hour long block of medieval music on YouTube. So, but anyway, so I'm kind of with you. It's interesting. This has been bouncing in and out of my mind for, I would say years, but it's probably honestly more decades. I can think just off the top of my head, like 6 or 8 investigations that popped into my head when you were reading this, where I was there when it sounded like somebody dropped a whole entire tray full of like crystal champagne flutes on the floor. And there were 2 or 3 of us sitting in the room when that happened. Another time at a client's house doing a reveal, right in the middle of the reveal, and I'm sitting in the chair, which was kind of kitty cornered from where we were sitting in the living room, and I've got like a side angle to the kitchen. It sounded like somebody was emptying out the dishwasher, and there was nobody in the kitchen, but it was happening. So I would agree with you. I think it's residual energy a majority of the time. I think it's just one of those kind of things where everything aligns properly, and for whatever reason that residual moment comes back into play in our time. But a part of me thinks too, like there's probably a small percentage of times when things like that are done intentionally because the entity's trying to get your attention and having a difficult time getting your attention in other means. So so from their perspective, they're doing these things, but you're not. But in our realm, we're not experiencing them. So they're getting frustrated. So like maybe doing something dramatic, like throwing a whole tray full of crystal champagne flutes up in the air and having them smash all over the floor in frustration. Somehow that type of emotional outburst of energy we hear that, and I think that somewhere in there's probably a small percentage of intelligent activity happening where somebody or something is trying to get your attention for a specific purpose, and so we experience that. As far as why it opens, I can run with. I don't really have, like I said, I've been thinking about it. Your answer is as good as any answer I could come up with. If it happens in a room where you have to get up and leave the room you're in and enter another room, obviously we're bringing our energy into that space, and that might be enough to make the record skip, so to speak. Is kind of how I look at it. Like somebody bumps the phonograph, like you're listening to a song, listening to a classic tune, somebody bumps the phonograph and the needle skips and it goes to a different place in time and different place on the album. That, I think that's kind of the easiest way for me to kind of say what I think happens there. Our energy disrupts. It kind of goes into the threshold theory that I'm still working on too, right? Like when we cross thresholds, different things happen. There's limitations of what energy can and cannot move across thresholds. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. So number 2, full body apparition seen floating in a room last night. So we live in a mobile home that was bought new and given to my wife. There's nothing weird about the trailer park where it's located, as far as I know. No one has ever died in this home, and we have 0 other paranormal things that have happened. Like nothing goes missing, no doors slam, no footsteps, no voices, nothing. But now we've both seen this figure of a woman floating above our bed. The first time was about 3 years ago. My dad had just died in a car accident with his longtime girlfriend. At the time, I saw 2 or 3 times a floating female figure above my bed upon waking up, which quickly vanished. I chalked it up to a combination of sleep paralysis. God, people love abusing that word. And the trauma of the loss. At the time, I thought it looked an awful lot like my dad's dead girlfriend. but I didn't really care for her and was not sure why she'd be visiting me. A couple of years ago, I found out my wife had experienced a similar thing at about the same time. We started discussing it because our young daughter, she was about 6 months old at the time, would wake up screaming, appearing to be fixated on the ceiling of her bedroom. The paranormal came up, and that's how we wound up sharing our stories with each other. Both of us are pretty rational, so we just chalked it up to our sleep state or something similar. Anyway, after finding out we both had seen the same thing, my wife said she wanted to get rid of this antique cabinet she had inherited from her deceased mother in case there was something attached to it. It had been bought at an antique store, so we gave the thing to her sister. We later find out that her sister's daughter, was waking up with night terrors talking about a lady in her room following the receiving of the cabinet. That's gotta love family for shit like that, man. We had no more unusual behavior from our daughter following giving the cabinet away, so we promptly forgot about it. What do you guys think we were seeing? Okay, this is interesting. Right off the bat, I'm confused with the cabinet thing, because if the cabinet had been in the house and nothing was happening until the passing of your dad, then I don't know how the cabinet could be tied to what was happening in the house. Unless there was something attached to the cabinet that was going on that you guys totally dismissed and just blew it off. But I don't know. I'm not getting the haunted cabinet vibe here. Although I do think I got to say, I do think it's strange that you gave it to your sister and then her daughter. The only thing I could chalk up there is that you gave them the cabinet along with the ghost story, and maybe the child heard the ghost story, and now she has the cabinet in her house, and her REM stage sleep, whatever, she incorporated that horror story into her dream, or I don't know. But I would say, if it happened right after your dad passed away with his girlfriend, there's a possibility it was his girlfriend. You didn't particularly like her. Maybe she was coming back to just say goodbye. I wish we could have had a better relationship. There's a lot of reasons why people get tethered. I'm working on a case. I got a case right now where mom passed away, and the kids have tethered her to this realm still, instead of letting her go where she should go. And so I think there's a possibility that could have happened, where you not having a great relationship with her, and her really caring for your dad. Let's say that they had a great relationship, and then she passes away with your dad. Your dad moved on. She felt that she needed to kind of just mend things before she left, to let you know that she wished things had been better between you two. I don't know. That would be my best guess there. I don't really have an answer. Surprisingly, it happens occasionally. But I don't really have an answer as to why giving the cabinet away would be corresponding to this floating female figure disappearing. I just don't see it tied to the cabinet, because it would have been there prior to, I would think anyway, it would be there prior to your dad passing away. So I don't see the correlation between those two things. My best guess would be, like I said, her just saying goodbye, wishing maybe you guys had a better relationship. That's all I got.
So, I mean, the thing that's missing here, and I see where you're going with it, and how you came to that conclusion, but we don't really know the timeline for when she received the cabinet, and honestly, I mean, they're only talking about the times when they woke up to see this woman,
right?
So exactly, and they just never woke up to see her. So I mean, we're missing that part of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think if we had that, I think it would shine a different light on everything. But given the fact that things did just stop um, when they gave it away, and uh, things started happening at the sister's place when they received it, which I agree with you. You gotta love family. I mean,
Well,
that's just a dick move
that is a dick
right there.
move.
We need to get this out of our house. Who should we give this to? Should we give it to Goodwill or should we just burn? No, you know what? Let's give it to your sister. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah, let's not do a curb alert on Craigslist for a free dresser that somebody would come and grab. Let's give it to family and see if we can screw their kid up. That
So
is a dick move.
it is a complete dick move. But I honestly think that just with the outcome and the fact that the only thing that they did was change the location of this dresser, that it probably had something attached to it. So I mean, what did you see? You probably saw an old owner, the original owner of this antique dresser. I mean, there was, and honestly, we could be looking at residual energy again. Like no encounters or whatever did this woman seem to actually interact with you or notice you. You just woke up and then she quickly vanished again. Right with the last story, you changed the energy. Like your adrenaline spiked. You changed the energy in the room. She was gone.
Right.
I mean, I don't think that you or the sister are in any danger whatsoever. I think this is simply just not understanding what you are seeing, and it's freaking everybody out, which is understandable. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Um, it's just this. I think this just seems to be one of those where if you talk to a paranormal investigator, they would be able to tell you, okay, this is what I think is going on. Um, Here are your options. Or if you see her, just know that you're not in any danger. And please let the daughter know or whatever. Yeah, the same thing. Um, so yeah, so that's just I don't think that it was the girlfriend coming back, just because. I mean, does it say what she was wearing, or just that it was a floating
Yeah.
woman figure above the bed?
Yeah, just
All
kind
right.
of a floating female figure.
Um, I do agree with you though. The, people are misusing sleep paralysis. Uh, I think he phrased it better when he said my sleep state.
Yeah, I
I,
agree.
I think I think that's probably the best terminology he could have used instead of sleep paralysis.
I agree.
So yeah, that's really all I got to do with that one. Um,
That's becoming like a trigger word now. Like every time I see it, I'm like, "Ugh, that's not the proper way to use that word." It's kind of like you and some of the
high
things that
strangeness.
high strangeness, some of the things that kind of set you off when you hear it.
Yeah.
I'm getting that's starting to happen to me with sleep paralysis, that term.
High
That is right.
strangeness.
And I just want to grab like a magic marker and just like big circle red, point it out and be like, that is not the right way to use that term.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. High strangeness and synchronicities
synchronicity.
are my two trigger words that get me going. And now cats. But anyway,
And cats.
number 3. Can I befriend negative spirits in the sort? So I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this. I've been looking into all sorts of things like experiences with mimics and doppelgangers, spirits, malevolent or not, shadow people, and such. I'm not sure where to look for answers, so I'm asking around. I have the mindset that if you are respectful and don't have any fear or negative energy, can you befriend them in a way? For example, I saw a video of a man with a large shadow figure peeking from the end of a hallway. I understand it's a person's natural reaction to cleanse or expel whatever it may be from the house, but I'd rather be kind than get rid of it. Treat them like roommates or pets. I'd appreciate any answers, options, or experiences. I apologize if it's difficult to understand, but I hope you see where I'm going with this. Yes, I do, and you're dumb.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I figured. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not gonna go too off my rocker in this one. The one main thing I want to point out: do not ever, ever, good or bad, ever treat a spirit like a pet. Okay? Are you kidding me? They're not pets.
Agreed.
And roommate, fine. Pets, no. You do that, they have my permission to kick your ass from here to hell and back. And I hope they do. I will not. I would charge you $20 an hour to investigate your place. If I ever heard the term, I treated it as if it was a loving pet, I would kick your ass myself.
This has
You
got
said-
the $100 an hour hourly rate stupidity factor all over.
This has got the stupidity clause.
This has got the stupidity clause. I don't charge for my time unless you want to treat shadow people like pets, and you need my help understanding why you're living a horrible existence at the moment. It's $100 an hour.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. With that said, so there's something that you need to understand here, and that is negative spirits. Are they malevolent spirits, or are they spirits you don't understand their motivations? Because those are two completely different things. I have done tons of investigations where people are scared out of their mind. They just want this out of there. And all it is a misunderstanding. And it's a former homeowner who's trying to understand him or herself, what is going on. So they're acting out, or they're trying to get your attention. They are not negative. It's just their actions are being misunderstood. And that is where a reputable paranormal team, will come into play. At least a good, well, I said reputable, so it's interchangeable.
Right. It's experience.
Right. Experience.
It's life experience. It's field experience. It's actually being in locations and understanding what's going on. And then you take that and you learn and you move forward and and you carry it with you. I mean, you learn new stuff. You never stop learning. I've been doing this for a long time and I'm still learning stuff. And there's days when I look up and I go, wow, and I have an epiphany moment still after 50 years of being involved in this. So we're never going to stop. We're never going to stop trying to understand what's going on.
And I mean, your mentality going into it is good. Be respectful. Right. I do it in every investigation, no matter how negative the claims seem to be, or how much of a dick the spirit seems to be. Because again, you really don't know what you're dealing with until you actually try to learn things or see things from their perspective. So it's always good to be respectful. But again, those people are not negative entities. If you want to talk about negative entities, they don't care about befriending you. Right. They want to harm you. They don't care if you're respectful. They would probably take that as a weakness and then mosey on up to you and then clobber you when you're at your weakest. That is what negative entities do. So I think if you are going to carry on with this line of thought, you need to understand the difference between a misunderstood, not enough information spirit and an actual malevolent negative entity, because they are two different things. You can befriend an entity who is misunderstood or is trying to get your attention or just wants to understand what is going on. Maybe they're seeking answers themselves that they don't know. You can't do it with negative entity. It doesn't matter how respectful you are. In fact, because I hate the fact that you wanted to treat them as, I want you to find a negative entity and I want you to try to treat it like a pet. I hope that works out for you. Maybe buy some farmer's dog, food for it. It's just, I hate that.
The stupidity clause in the contract just kicked in. Yeah.
Right. So That is my answer. You know, you need to understand the difference between the two. One, you can, yes, and it's been done. I have done it many, many times in my career where you just form a coexistence between the client and this entity, and it has worked like a charm, far better than I ever expected it to. Uh, it ain't going to work with a malevolent or negative entity. They want what they want, and that is it. They don't care about anything else, not even you. And I don't know why you're looking into doppelgangers either. That's never supposed to be a good thing. Nor can you make friends with yourself
Or a
or
mimic.
an
I mean,
or
mimics are just as bad as doppelgangers.
honestly haven't had a story with a mimic ever. In fact, I don't even know really. I mean,
Our
I
next
guess I understand.
to segue.
Nice, go Dave. But anyway, that's my answer. On to you.
Okay, so I'm gonna agree with you. The whole pets thing just was like, okay, honestly. So here's what I'm gonna say, and this is my best honest advice. No, right? The I can understand the I don't fascination is probably not the right term, but it's kind of in the ballpark. I can understand kind of the fascination or the desire to look into some of these like doppelganger stories, mimic stories, shadow person type of stories, Hatman stories, things that are happening and we don't understand why and we don't have answers for. I mean, we've got ideas, but we don't have any concrete answers as to why some of these things are happening. So I get the man, I want to look into this more and kind of understand more. So here's my advice for that. Do a ton of reading. There's a lot of good authors. There's a lot of stories out there. There's some, not a lot. There are some good shows like with recreation stories, like we were talking earlier about people who've had real experiences and then they kind of do a recreation of it. And so you can kind of watch and understand and see the results. Like, how did it start? What happened while it was existing? And then what was the conclusion to it? And then you can kind of learn from there. That is where I would draw the line. I would not try to befriend a negative spirit because as I agree with Mike, a lot of times entities can be misunderstood. It could be a previous homeowner and stuff, but I'm going to stick specifically with the question, can I befriend negative spirits? No, you can't. The best way to put it would be like trying to make friends with the bully at school, right? Eventually that bully is going to make your life miserable when he runs out of other people's that he wants to victimize. So the same thing's going to happen here. Any type of negative entity is going to do exactly that. It's not going to be your friend. And if you think it's going to be your friend, it's going to come, it's going to happen. It's going to get you at a vulnerable moment, like Mike said, and then your life's going to go to shit. And then it's $100 an hour for me to come out and fix it. So anyway, so that's it. Just no, stay away. You want to read about it, you want to watch some stuff online, some stuff on cable, whatever, fine, but don't try to conjure anything up. Okay, number 4, things are moving. I hear my children call me when no one's there. What do I do? Okay, so it started when I went to the thermostat to turn the heat off last night. It was around 9 p.m. I go to turn it off and I hear Mom over my shoulder. Thinking it's my kids awake, I spin and shout, "What?" And my stomach clenches as I realize no one's there. At the same time, I noticed our cat began staring at the empty bathroom. So, not realizing what was going on, I just brushed it off. I went to check on the kids and they were sound asleep. I go to my bedroom, which is at the back of the house. All the cats, 3 of them, go to my bed. I crawl in and I'm messing around on my phone when I hear from the living room a crash of plastic on the tile floor. I jump up and listen to what sounds like plastic being dragged across the floor. Then barefoot steps running quickly across the living room. So I think it's got to be one of my kids. I jump out of bed and rush out and shout, "What are you doing?" And see the remote laying in the middle of the floor across the otherwise neat living room and no one else present. I'm now spooked. I think someone's in my house. So I do a sweep, as my dad would call it. I click on every light, I open every door, every closet, everything is on. The kids stir but are sleeping, so I shut their lights off and the house is clear. No one's in it. I'm really confused, but I'm still thinking about potential murderers. I go to the bathroom in my room, which is again at the back of the house, and text my family. I tell them how silly I am and how weird that was. My heart rate calms down, and I start checking for updates from my husband, who is on his way home. Suddenly, in the doorway to the bathroom, with the bathroom doors open, I hear my daughter's tiny voice say, "Mommy," and I stop. My stomach drops, my blood feels like ice, and just this horrible dread feeling washes over me as I looked up expecting to see someone, but knowing somehow there's not going to be one. I panicked, called my dad. He calls the police and heads over to my place. The police find nothing. Dad finds nothing but stays with me until my husband comes home. Do I sage the house? Do I call a priest? Do I just ignore it? I have seen shadows out of the corner of my eye ever since we started renting this place, but I've always just ignored them. Please let me know what I should do. Um, I I don't like this one, so here would be my advice. I think you're right on line. If you have a religious background, if you're Catholic or if you are devout Christian, and you have faith, and your faith leads you to uh, the pit of your stomach tells you this is something that I need to involve my faith in, then I think that you should do that. I think that you should get a hold of your priest, whatever, at church and have them come in and just do a simple house blessing. Not saying that there's anything evil there, but there's nothing wrong with having the house blessed just to bring the love and light of God into the house and positive energy into the space. Do you sage? If you've never saged before and you don't know what you're doing and you're going to go watch YouTube videos, no, do not sage. Do not go out and buy sage, watch a YouTube video and then sage your house. No experience with it. No, I that to me, saging houses is kind of starting to fall into line with investigating your own house. If you don't know what you're doing, just don't do it. Just stay away from it and find somebody who knows what they're doing. And if you find somebody who knows what they're doing and you want to come in and have the house saged, perfectly fine. Because sage does nothing more than dispel negative energy. That's what it's for. It's been around for centuries with the Native Americans. So it's perfectly fine to do just as long as you know what you're doing. Do you ignore it? I'm going to say no, only because my gut says this is the beginning of something. I don't think that there's a whole lot going on yet, but I don't like the fact that this mimic, which we just talked about in the last question story that came in, that this voice is mimicking your children and it's happening right next to you. So it's not like you hear them in a distance down the hallway. You're in your bedroom or in your bathroom and you hear mommy in your youngest daughter's voice clear as day from the threshold of that bathroom door, and your blood goes cold. That's because there's something standing there that's mimicking your child, and its intention is to make you fearful. And it got its result, which means that now it knows that it can manipulate you and get what it wants. It's the start of something. So if call somebody into sage who's qualified, call your priest, bring some light and love and positive light into the house, and hopefully dispel whatever this is uh, before it really starts to kind of play games and gets aggressive, especially with kids in the house. I mean, being a dad, I don't like the fact that shit like this is happening and there's kids in the house, because I don't want the kids that start getting manipulated or hurt or screwed with So that's my advice.
So normally, like this is where I would like to investigate. I would like to find out exactly what is going on and if there is an intelligent spirit in the house. Because I really don't think that you were dealing with residual energy when it comes to this. Um, Maybe if you saw your daughter at some point and heard her, and then you went and she was sleeping the whole time, maybe then I would time slip, that sort of thing. I don't think that this is the this case, I guess, for a better way of phrasing it. Now, I know you don't like child spirits. They
No,
don't exist.
I don't believe in child spirits.
Right. There have been many, many cases where uh, it has been a child spirit, not so much wanting to harm anybody, but maybe just wants to be part of the family experience again. Maybe they like your energy as a mother, um, and so they latch on because they want to be part of your family. Doesn't mean that you should let them. Just that that's
Right.
typically, and especially like in this case, what might be one of their motivations for doing everything.
Right.
Now, even though I do believe in child spirits, I agree that if they are there really doesn't need they don't need to be, and that they should be put on. So even though I don't think, at least right now, unless something has changed, that you or your family is in any danger, I don't see any reason why they need to stay. Um, and so I agree with Dave. I think you should not sage your own house, and two, do it. Bring in a priest and just bless the house, because Dave's absolutely right. There's no harm in blessing the house. It gets rid of negative, it keeps in the positive and boosts the positive.
Yep.
It's only going to help you.
Yep.
And hopefully, maybe even throw in with the blessing a last rites. Hey, if there's any spirit here that would like to move on, I give you permission to enter the kingdom of God, that sort of thing.
Right.
Um, and add that to it. Just, if there are children spirits there, or if there is another type of spirit there who is acting, maybe they think that they will be allowed in if they mimic your kids, um, that they can go on their merry way, um, one way or another. Because if they are evil, and if they are trying to trick you into thinking that it's your kids, or it is a child spirit that just wants to be let in because something tragic happened to them, uh, a blessing will definitely bring that to light, because they will not like that whatsoever. And again, you will find your answer.
Mhm.
So wholeheartedly, I do not think that you should ignore it, um, unless it just never happens again. I mean, if it's already been like 3 weeks and it's never happened again, well, then maybe, yeah, you can move on with life. But if it continually happens, you definitely need to bring in a priest or a medium, somebody who is going to be able to give you that immediate type answer that you're looking for. All right. Whoops. Lost it. There we go. Number 5. So I think I may have a jewelry ghost. Is this possible? So I've had some strange experiences through the years involving jewelry. I lived in an apartment that had 2 men die in it. Oddly, they were both related to my ex-husband. Kind of see why it's an ex-husband. In addition to the jewelry issues, we constantly have a feeling of not being alone in the hallway or the stairwell. Uh, so, incident number 1, an earring that belonged to my daughter that was missing fell from the ceiling onto the kitchen table. She was with me. We both saw it. Just dropped out of thin air while we were eating breakfast one day. It had been missing for over a year. Nothing was above us. We heard a little pop, and there it was on the table. It was rose quartz, and upon examining it, we found it was much cloudier compared to the one in her jewelry box. That was weird. We all sensed a presence while living there and just kind of blew it off. Number two, I was cleaning the shower floor one day and found my very tiny diamond stud that had gone missing a few years prior. The shower drain has a large hole and we didn't have a strainer in it. If an earring had been laying on the floor of the shower for years, it would have been washed down the drain by then. I'm sure somebody would have stepped on it.
Yeah, something would have happened. It wouldn't just be sitting there for 2 years.
Yeah. We started calling him the jewelry ghost. I say quote unquote him because both people who passed in the house were men. Fast forward 20 years. Now divorced, new home, new relationship. My boyfriend's mom wanted him to marry me. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and gave him her wedding ring and told him to give it to me one day. After she passed away, we were having Thanksgiving dinner at her house. I was wearing a pretty ring he bought for me in Mexico. Don't think that sentence has ever been spoken before. So, number three for the instances. While eating, he noticed the big blue topaz stone was missing. We found it on the kitchen floor. Cool. Went on with dinner. Number four, while there again last month, we were celebrating birthdays. And again, at the same table, he looked at my hand and said, "What happened to your ring?" He had given me a lovely rose gold band with little diamonds. It wasn't anything other than a sweet Christmas gift, but it was now pitched in a tight oval and two diamonds were missing. I hadn't had any trauma to my hand that day, and whatever caused that bend would have been memorable because I had to grease up the finger with salad dressing to get it off. He had to bend it back into shape using a vise in the garage. I think his mom was trying to say wrong ring. I can't ignore the fact that these weird facts all revolve around jewelry. I know this is weird, but I'm curious if this is related to spirits. What do you guys think? Okay, let's take the first part. The when you're in your old place. I don't know if that's necessarily spirit related as it just seems to be more poltergeisty simply because of the aport part of it.
That's something rare, by the way.
Yes, it's very, very rare.
Very rare. Yeah.
And because you are somehow, because I don't know how apporting works, nobody knows how apporting works. They just know it exists.
It's like a black hole.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it can be transported into the past, into the future. So, I mean, I definitely think that that's what's happening there. Now, obviously, 20 years go by and you haven't had anything like that happen again. I think what happened to you 20 years ago, what's happening now, completely separate. Yes, it involves jewelry. I just think they're completely separate instances and reasons for it. I agree with you that it's probably the mother saying wrong ring. And what's fascinating is that you've been with this person. He's bought you two rings, two beautiful rings, and none of them is the one that says he wants to marry you. You might want to look into that. Okay. So I get it if you're not ready for marriage. Maybe when you got divorced, you swore off marriage forever, and that's why he hasn't given you the mother's ring. If it actually continues to happen, I honestly would just have a sit down conversation and just be like with the mother and just be like, look, I know you gave him this ring to give to me. That's an amazing gesture. We're just not ready for marriage yet. And he thinks that it's bad, or, he doesn't think that it's respectful to you and your ring to give it to me because we're never going to get married. It's just not something that I'm involved with. You may get haunted after that because she'll be pissed, but then you can just bring in a paranormal team and talk to her about it. But I definitely think that this is something that you can take care of yourself, either relationship wise or with the mother. You're not in any danger at all. I definitely just think it's the mother trying to be like, why is my ring not on your finger? And that's the only ring that should be on there. Um, so that's all I got for that one. Are you good to wait until after break to give your answer?
Perfectly fine.
All right. We'll be back, and Dave will answer to this thing, and we'll move on with life. So we will be back here in just a couple minutes. See you on the other side. Whoops, wrong one.
Hey, this is Mike Couch from Lost Limbs Foundation. Make sure you check out Mike and Dave on the Odyssey Files because they really need the listeners.
Hello, I'm Al Lagarde from Paper Route Productions, executive producer of Kindred Spirits, Paranormal State, a whole bunch of television shows. And I've worked with a lot of people on paranormal projects and met a lot of people in paranormal radio. And I want to say that Dave and Mike are two people who have a face for radio, in particular, internet radio.
Hey, it's Chris Fleming. More painful than a Tyrannosaurus Rex stepping on your testicle. Listen to Dave and Mike on Odyssey Files.
Hey everybody, it's Chad Lindbergh, and you are listening to the Odyssey Files with David and Michael. And let me tell you, it's almost as painful as a Skype glitch.
This is Andy Lynch, Director of Photography of Kindred Spirits. And when I'm not filming Amy and Adam at some creepy location, you can find me listening to the Odyssey Files with Dave and Mike. Or doing something else, I don't know.
Hello everyone, this is Ken Boggle. You know, you hear so many great moments during each and every episode of the Odyssey Files with Dave and Mike, but if I had to really choose my favorite moment, it would have to be when the show is over.
All righty, we are back. And Dave has an answer.
I do
to share.
So, all right. So the jewelry ghost. Here's what I think is happening here. I think this is two totally separate issues. I think that while Mike's spot on, there is no apporting, which is an object just falling out of space and appearing magically in front of you. It's so rare. Like it's so uncommon. I can't even tell you in the paranormal scheme of things. So I think that property, that location that you were renting had something going on. If you want to call it a vortex or a portal or whatever, I would be fine with that, because I think that type of interdimensional space kind of has to be there for things to apport anyway. So I think it's probably just coincidence that the two guys passed away in the apartment or house or whatever it was that you were renting. But I think something strange was, I do think that something strange was going on at that house. And I think that those are two really kind of cool incidences, because I totally agree that finding a diamond stud earring on the shower floor that's been missing for 2 years with a large shower drain, nobody stepped on it, and it's not gotten washed down the bullshit. That's not true. So that thing would have been washed down. If it fell out of your ear where you were washing your hair, it would have gone down the drain in a heartbeat, or somebody would have stepped on it over the course of time. So that's what I think happened there. Now, I think that this whole thing with this new relationship that you're in, I think it's interesting that you notice that it's always jewelry. And I think there's something going on there. There's probably other things happening in your life that are paranormal. But it's funny that at least you're only talking about, to us, you're only talking about the fact that it's jewelry related. I would be very surprised if there wasn't something, other things paranormal happening to you or around you. But that said, since we don't know the answer to that, that's just speculation. I agree. Again, I think Mike's spot on. I think it's the mom saying wrong ring. So I think that you also are spot on with the fact that it's wrong ring. I would think if you had to put, if that ring that you had on got bent so hard that you had to grease it up to take it off your finger and then put it in a vise to reshape it, it doesn't make any sense that you would not, like, your hand would have had to gotten smashed in order for the ring to kind of do that. So it doesn't make any sense if that didn't happen. Number 3, I'm going to just dismiss as common occurrence. Like, the stone fell out of the ring and you found it on the kitchen floor. That just happens. You bumped the ring on the table, the ring mount broke or gave or got loose and the stone fell out and you found it on the floor because it fell out of the ring while you were in the kitchen. I haven't done it. So
he did buy it in Mexico.
I don't know that there's anything wrong with buying jewelry in Mexico. So I'm gonna put that one right back on Mike. Yeah, I think that's just a common occurrence. So, is it spirit related? Certainly, I think the first 2 incidences are spirit related. I think there's a good possibility that the 4th occurrence with this ring being smashed on your finger, that it could be the mom saying, "Hey, wrong ring." I think that's a possibility. Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I don't think you got anything to worry about. I kind of agree, even though this isn't like our specialty, I do kind of agree with Mike that if you're in this relationship and the mom thought you were special enough that she, as she was dying, that she took her ring off and gave it to her son and said, "I want you to give this to her," that obviously she held you in high esteem. The fact that it's not on your finger yet, again, only because I'm in a case right now that has a tether point. I'm kind of coming back to this. I got tether on the mind lately. So I think that she's kind of tethered to not moving forward because she wants her son to put the damn ring on your finger. That's why she gave it to him. And he hasn't done it. And so she's waiting around impatiently. And there's a good possibility that she kind of attacked that ring, or lack of a better term, made that something happen to that ring to get it off your finger to put a different one on there. So I don't think there's any harm going on there at all, but I do agree that, I think the mom's around, so I wouldn't be surprised if other paranormal things happen. Those are so rare, and for it to happen, like something that you previously owned. Like, and all the time I've been doing this, I only have one client that had a porting, in all the time. I've only had one client that had objects of porting, and it was the exact same object and at multiple locations in the house. And I was there once when it happened. So, I mean, it's very cool. It's very rare, but it's very interesting coming from a paranormal mind. So, all right.
So, do we want to? Because I think the number 6 story is actually pretty quick.
It is pretty quick. Okay. All right. So, number 6. So, who is waiting for you when you pass? Hi, guys. Got a quick question for you. Who waits for you after you pass when you have multiple husbands or wives? Is it the most recent one, the one who loved you the most, or some weird combination? Do they all just show up? I'm going to say the person who is there for you when you pass is the person who, and this is probably going to sound kind of stupid, but it's the person who's supposed to be there. So it doesn't need to be a spouse. I don't know why you're kind of putting that in like a finite type of mentality. Could be a child, it could be your grandpa, it could be your grandma, it could be an aunt or an uncle, it could be a best friend, could be your dog, it could be Jesus, could be God himself. I don't know, but I don't think that, I think that you've got this confined into a box, that it has to be like a husband and wife. Like if you've been married 3 times and you had 3 spouses and all 3 of them have passed away before you, which one of the 3 is going to show up? It might not be any of the 3. It might be, like I said, it might be somebody else totally. So, do I believe that somebody comes for you? Absolutely, I do. Do I believe that I'm going to have people waiting for me when I pass? Absolutely, I do. Do I have an idea of who I think they're going to be? Sure. Is that going to be them? I don't know. I know I won't know the answer to that until the day comes. But I think you need to expand your search. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, okay. I'm just waiting for you to done. I like the fact that this person only thinks that it's like spouses, and that's it. Like, there's no mention of family. There's no mention of ancestors. There's no mention of, as you said, Jesus or God. It's just, which one of my husbands is it going to be? Something tells me that if you have been divorced twice, it's probably not going to be 1 or 2.
Right.
Unless they're going to be there cheering for the fact that you're finally dead.
It's a possibility.
Either way, I don't think that that's what happens. I don't think that when you die, you get spiked. Like there's no cheering section for yay,
No.
you're finally deceased. Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not what happens.
No.
So it's going to be who loves you, not so much who you love. It's who loves you.
Right.
So it's going to be your parents. It's going to be your grandparents. It may even be a spirit guide, that's there, that's been looking out for you for your entire life. If you had a husband and you become a widow while still married to this person and you loved each other very, very much, then yes, that person will probably be there when you join him. I wouldn't worry about husband number 1 or number 2. They're going to be going on to other things. Especially if you are one of those women who every husband that you have had has died. That might be on you, and
Black
they
Widow.
might meet you after you're dead for another reason.
For different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is that it's the people who you love and who love you are going to be there when you pass. And beyond that, I don't think you should really worry about it. I've heard a lot of stories from the other side, and not a lot of them, start with my first husband tried to kill me, after I had passed. Or that this person had come and started to chide me because I treated them like garbage. Like, they don't waste their time on that on the other side.
I think that goes hand in hand with the fact that we don't carry our baggage with us. So, I mean, if you're a dick to somebody here on the planet Earth, I think that's a human experience. And when you pass, that human experience, it ceases to exist. It just becomes a memory on this side of the wall, so to speak. I agree with you. I don't think there's like a cheering section of people who hate your guts, like cheering for you to be dead, like, oh, finally, you're such an ass. I can't believe, I'm so happy to see that you got hit by a bus, or that you stepped on that you got electrocuted in the bathtub because you were, plugged your phone in while you were in the tub and you dropped your phone in the tub like an idiot. I mean, I just don't think that there's a cheering section. I think it's pretty much people who meet you, or the person who's going to meet you is going to be somebody who cares deeply about you and is welcoming you onto the next stage of your journey.
Exactly. All right. Well, on that happy note,
Positive, note.
it's Christmas. Well, I mean, it's almost Christmas. We are 2 weeks out from Christmas
Going
Eve.
fast. Yeah.
It is going fast. I'm very happy about that because obviously, as many people know, I'm a UPS driver now, and peak is horrible for us all. So, with that said, we want to talk about something that is very, very heartwarming, and that is obviously the Christmas and holiday movies that we absolutely love. From our childhood, from our grown-up days, the ones that we can't get enough of, and ones that one and done. Although I don't know if we'll be talking too many about that. And the movies that either are considered Christmas and aren't, or the movies who aren't considered Christmas but are
And should be. Yeah.
and should be. We are going to dive into all of that here in the next 45 minutes. So throw on your seatbelts, people, or strap in, whatever you want to do. Grab your popcorn and maybe a glass of wine and sit back and agree with everything that we say.
Right. I was thinking
So-
the same thing. Strap into the sleigh. We're going on a sleigh ride.
Yes, we are. In fact, speaking of that, that's our topic next week. Is we're going to be diving into the myth and the legend of Santa Claus.
The magic of the season.
And magic of the season, and so origin story, legend, all that good stuff. Really looking forward to that. Going to have a lot of great information for everybody.
I would too, because I love the fact that I kind of know the direction you're going to go with the whole how it's not possible thing, and I'm totally going the opposite direction. So it's going to be one hell of a conversation. So,
all right, we have a conversation tonight. So, what genre should we start with?
I'm completely open, but I'm going to kind of I would say I'm going to start like with my faves.
Okay, so you want the all-around favorite?
I don't really have a favorite, but I've got like a top 3, I'd say.
Okay.
So
What is
I'm
the
gonna-
first?
I'm gonna
What is the first one you want to talk about?
Okay. So the first one that I absolutely love, that I think is a phenomenal Christmas story and covers many dynamics of Christmas, is A Charlie Brown Christmas. Absolutely love it. First of all, I grew up in that time frame, right? So Charlie Brown, like, that was something I was growing up in. 1965. The soundtrack to it is phenomenal. I still listen to it to this day.
And had right before the show.
As a matter of fact, I was when we were, prior to the show, when we were chatting, I had it on in the background. So, great story. Talks about like the true meaning of Christmas, the feel good moments of Christmas, how commercialism has destroyed, and it really has destroyed the meaning of Christmas, and kind of what Christmas is all about. And we see it regretfully when you can't even get to Thanksgiving, and people have got Christmas trees up and Christmas lights up, and you go to the store and there's Christmas displays everywhere and trees and just, it's just, I get it. I love Christmas. I love this time of year. It is kind of a magical time of year. I totally believe that. Whether you celebrate the birth of Christ or whether you celebrate Santa Claus and the history of Santa Claus, or whether it's just the time of winter solstice and the time of year when, the change of the seasons is coming. It's the end of the year. It's the end of the man-made calendar. We're going into a new year. So a lot of people look at that for new expectations. So, like, what am I going to do different? How was this year? It's a time of reflection, a time to spend together with loved ones. So there's a lot of great reasons to love this time of year. And I love this time of year for all those reasons. So, but A Charlie Brown Christmas for me is kind of like the epitome of setting the mood for the season. Soundtrack's phenomenal. Storyline is phenomenal.
I
Great.
well, of course. Charlie Brown has been a staple in Christmas and Halloween and Thanksgiving. Like they just have Charlie Brown something for all of like the major holidays, and they're always great. I've not seen that one in particular for quite a number of years, but sticking with the anime, animated type Christmas movies, or as we decided, like the claymation movies.
Yeah.
I definitely, my number one, have to watch it every year, have it on my computer so I never have to maybe miss it. I can watch it anytime I want. Mickey's Christmas Carol. Have to watch it every year. It's just 22 minutes of fun.
Yep.
And just sitting down, like I'll just watch it on my computer and turn it on and sit back in my chair with all the lights off and just let Ebenezer Scrooge figure out the meaning of Christmas all over again. I do like, I mean, obviously there's Scrooged and there's all these different, different renditions of A Christmas Carol, but for some reason, and it's probably because that's the one I grew up with.
Yeah.
I've watched it the last, 30 years. That is the one that I watch. I will watch the other ones without an issue, but that is the only one that I have to watch every year. On Christmas when it comes to the anime. Mickey's Christmas Carol, my number one.
And nothing wrong with Walt Disney.
No.
Loved it. So claymation, as we were talking about this before the show, I got to stick with the claymation because claymation, if you ever go back and take a look and just go, like step away from like the storyline of like the Christmas, like Rudolph or Santa Claus is coming to town, and there's others, but those two are my faves. Take a look at how painstakingly long it took the set directors and stuff like that to make those movies. They get all the credit in the world from me for doing that. And they're great stories. They carry great messages. They're great storylines. They're enjoyable. Like I remember, and nowadays we're so spoiled in this respect where you could just instantly pull up, whatever you want. You can, throw Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on your Bluetooth, 4K DVD player, or just pull it up on one of the streaming services and instantaneously watch it. But for those of you that are younger than me, there used to be a time when you had the TV guide delivered to your house every week, and it would tell you specifically, like on Tuesday night at 7:00 on Channel 7, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and that was a big deal. Like that was a big deal. That went on the family calendar that Rudolph's going to be on because it was only on once for the whole Christmas season, and it wasn't on in November, by the way. It was on
they scheduled that appropriately.
It was around the middle of December, beginning of December, when it was like the time when you were getting into the Christmas mood. So anyway, it's classic. They're great the way they were put together, great storylines, and it's just one of those kind of feel good Christmas movies. So props out for the anime or the claymation. So Rudolph and Santa Claus is coming to town. I'm going to say those round up my top 3 of old school, because I got to be able to break it down, because we'll get into some of the newer things that have been released as I've gotten older that I really enjoy every year that I watch. Like, yeah, it's on my staple that I have to see it at Christmas.
I just want to say this really quick about Rudolph, because growing up, that was like that Wednesday night. It was 7 p.m. was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. 8 p.m. was like Mickey's Christmas Carol. Like you got to watch them right, back to back. And you're absolutely right. You had to you had to know when they were on.
Right.
And in order to watch them, you couldn't just type it into YouTube and watch it whenever you wanted. You had to follow the TV guide, the schedule.
Yep.
And for those of you who haven't seen Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the claymation version, you have to. I mean, still to this day, and I was telling Dave this before, I still, to this day, like at least 2 or 3 times a week, will quote that movie. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. Like any time I throw a box, which never happens, and it
Why
bounces.
do I not believe you?
and it maybe let me rephrase. Anytime I see somebody else
Yeah.
throw
package.
it up,
Yeah.
I would never do something like that.
Right.
And I see it ricochet off something. I'm like, ha, Bumbles bounce. I still quote that movie. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. That's how much has been ingrained and how special that show is. So I want to move away from animation and move into the drama category, because I had not seen a Christmas. No, I think it's just Santa Claus. It's plain Santa Claus. It's the old one from like the early 1990s or late 80s.
The one with Tim Allen? Like
No, not the Santa Claus.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
The one way back in like the 80s, that had the hell's his name, John Lithgow in it.
Okay.
And I watched it last year for the first time in a long time, probably since I was a kid. It just never really interested me all that much, or I wasn't all that disappointed if I missed it. But being older, you tend to, when you rewatch things from when you were a kid, you tend to notice some differences. And you react to certain things.
Right.
And Santa Claus is a very feel good thing of the origin of Santa and all this stuff. And I couldn't help but sit there and just, because it starts off with this guy who's bringing toys to like this family. I mean, he's not Santa Claus. He's just doing it out of the goodness of his heart. It's a raging blizzard. And right before it becomes Santa, like him, his wife, and his reindeer all get stuck in this blizzard and they all die. I'm just like, are you kidding me? I'm like, does anybody pay attention to the fact that he just murdered his wife and reindeer by getting stuck in this blizzard just to deliver some toys to some kids who don't appreciate it? So I mean, it's not one of my favorites anymore. I just wanted to point out that that drama one is not on my list, and I think people need to bring that guy up on charges for animal abuse, for one. But the other one that I don't get, and maybe you can help me on this one. I mean, it's decent, but people go crazy over the Christmas Story.
Yeah.
And Ralphie and how cute. And I'm just like, he gets I don't get it. It's got its moments where it's somewhat funny.
Yep.
Especially the dad and then the leg lamp. That's hilarious.
For Jolly.
But I mean, like, what is it? Lifetime, whatever. We'll have like an entire day
The day
where it's just over and
right.
over and over. And I'm just like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Am I the only one?
No, I'm gonna say I don't watch it every year, but it's in the cycle list, right? So like every 2 or 3 years, I'll sit down and watch it. I think it's a good old-fashioned feel-good kind of movie, is what I think. I put that in there with like It's a Wonderful Life, and no disrespect to It's a Wonderful Life or White Christmas, or like those are real classics made in the 40s, right? I mean, tell great, like really good stories. I'm not saying that this is necessarily in that category. It's in the same zip code. Let's put it that way, right? It's in the same state, you know.
I have a confession, which is
No.
probably going to make people be
Dislike you.
uproarious,
Up in arms.
up in arms.
The pitchforks and torches are going to be lit, and the pitchforks are coming out of the shed.
I have never seen It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. Okay. I'm out of here. See you later.
Sorry, it's almost become an intelligent, like a conscious choice. Like I think that, I don't know, because I think a lot about that sort of the premise of that movie, and I think I would have a hard time getting through it, because I would continually attribute my life to that, which I think is the whole point. You know, that it's to get you to think about your
existence,
your existence, but the impact.
Yeah.
The impact that you have on people's lives and stuff like that. And I don't know. I guess it's one of those things like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave well enough alone. I don't need to consider that. And I do want to, but I also don't. So I mean, if somebody was like, you know what, I have It's a Wonderful Life on DVD, would you like to watch it? I'd be like, okay, yeah, let's do it. But I have never actually gone out of my way, no matter how many times it's on, to actually watch it. And I feel bad about that every year, because people consider that as such a classic, and I do.
It's a classic Christmas, yeah.
I very much like the premise of it, but yeah, I have not seen it.
So fully support the lighting of the torches and the pitchforks coming out of the shed. Now, don't harm him. Don't harm Mike. But
just scare him a little.
But right, throw the fear of God into him when it comes to watching a classic Christmas movie. You know. So maybe somebody without a pitchfork and a torch bring the DVD and some hot cocoa and some good Christmas popcorn with like the drizzled chocolate and caramel and stuff in there.
That would be amazing. In fact, my sister on Thursday is going to bring me a humongous plate of assorted cookies that she's made, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. It will start my 10-pound gaining over the course of the rest of the month. Looking forward to it.
There you go.
That is happiness right there, my friend.
Christmas cookies are a necessity.
Agreed. So when it comes to dramatic Christmas movies, drama type Christmas movies,
yeah,
I've only talked about ones that I don't like or that I haven't watched. I honestly am trying to think of like a Christmas drama movie that I would make him as my favorite, like in that, and I'm just coming up so short.
Like drama as far as to me, like the word drama just means like watching like a cop show on TV would be like a drama.
Well, when I say like
I don't have any like Christmas movies that don't have, because to me it would be boring. It would be just blah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like it has to have some exciting twist or some funny plot or some irony or something. There's got to be something in it, right? Like a Christmas Carol or Scrooged or Mickey's Christmas or a Muppets Christmas Carol. I love by the way, the Muppets are phenomenal.
Muppets are phenomenal.
The Muppets are phenomenal. If you're my age, you grew up watching the Muppets on Sundays at 6:30, Channel 9. Absolutely amazing.
In fact, whether you remember this or not, but it was the Muppets Christmas Carol was the first thing you and I tried to watch on the new On TV when I bought that last year. When it would just buffer and buffer because my router was terrible.
The router sucked balls.
We finally just said screw it. I think we went downstairs.
Yeah.
and watched it there instead. But yeah, it was the Muppets
Mickey's
Christmas Carol.
Muppets Christmas Carol.
It was
Yep.
Muppets Christmas Carol we tried to watch.
Yep.
Um,
Another classic.
it is. That is a really good one. But what I mean by like dramatic is the one that's like not like Santa Claus and A Christmas Story, Miracle on 34th, Street Ave or whatever it is.
Yeah, Miracle on 34th Street.
Miracle on 34th Street. I mean, these are movies who are not comedies. They're obviously not horror slasher. They're meant to be feel good. Maybe instead of drama, it'd be feel good movies.
Okay. Well, I didn't tackle that genre, so that's on you.
Okay. Well, we don't have one then. I do have one that would fit in that category, but it's like my one choice for most underrated Christmas movie.
What?
It's a movie that was made for TV. It hasn't been seen in years. But I ended up finding somebody online that had it on a website I could download, and it's called It Nearly Wasn't Christmas. And I wouldn't be surprised if you'd never seen it or even heard of it.
I might have seen it. I mean, who knows? If it was on like the Lifetime channel, every once in a while, like I'll just around the holidays, I'll turn the Lifetime channel on, and there'll be one kind of sappy Christmas movie after another, and it's just they all have kind of like a feel good moment in them. So if I'm in a feel good type, like I need a feel good moment, I'll just leave it on all day, and then I'm not necessarily pins and needles sitting there watching it, but I'll be attuned to what's happening.
It was actually, I think it originally aired. It was like an ABC movie,
like one of those made for TV type of movies.
Yeah, it was a made for TV, made for TV movie, and basically Santa thinks that the world has stopped believing in him, and so he decides to quit. And just as he's deciding this, he gets this letter from this little girl who's trying to cross the country to go see her father because their families are on opposite sides of the country. And so he goes down to help her get to her father. And obviously hijinks ensue.
Right.
And but every single like town or family or circumstance that comes up, like he learns a little bit more of the human spirit, and they learn a little bit more about family and it's just one of those really, really good feel good type movies, and it hasn't been on the air in probably 25 years. But again, like Rudolph, it to me it's the most underrated Christmas movie, and I think if anybody hears this and has a couple minutes, go and find it. I think it's on YouTube, and watch it.
I think that probably everything is on YouTube if you look hard enough.
In fact,
or there's a link to it, one of the two. So I just watched a movie, and I'm sure you've probably seen it because it has your favorite female in it. Last night.
Oh, Noelle?
Yeah.
I have not seen that. She is my favorite person in the world.
She is your favorite person. But I just watched it last night, and so it kind of reminded me of one of those like made for TV type of movie, feel good type of movie, a little bit of drama, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of, but it was more, I would say it's listed as kind of like fantasy comedy, but it was more drama to me. So, I mean, I would throw that in the drama category. But I'm curious, did you put together a B list? Because you're like the B movie guy, like that I know. Like of all the people I know, like you come up with some of the weirdest shit movies, titles. Like years ago, like a decade ago when we first met, whatever now, 12 years ago, whatever it's been. Like one of the first times we're talking and you're like, did you ever see the movie Thanksgiving? No. I'm like, what? I know. What's it about? And you're like, oh, it's just great. It's just, and you're so excited telling me about it, and then I finally see it and I'm just shaking my head like.
I'm still excited about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know.
It's
But
not
that's
that
kinda-
old.
You come out with some of these like these really kind of crazy B off the wall kind of gems, and I'm curious if you got any on your Christmas list when you were.
Well, there's one that you have on your list as well, and that's obviously Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yep.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is amazing. So amazing in so many different ways. In fact, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, and if you can believe there's like 7 of them.
Oh, I can't believe it.
Number 2 is even better. My friends and I still make fun of it. I make fun of it every day almost. So I highly recommend that if you want a feel good movie, that there is a real gem out there about a little kid who sees his parents murdered by Santa Claus and goes crazy as an 18-year-old stud and starts killing people who are quote unquote naughty. Amazing.
Post-traumatic stress over witnessing his parents' murder on Christmas Eve by a man disguised as
Post-traumatic stress. Yes, that's the perfect way of phrasing what happens to that kid. Post-traumatic stress.
Post-traumatic stress. 1984. That is a classic right there. 84. Silent Night Part 2 came out in 87, and it shows there's up to I see number 5. Made in
Oh, maybe
90.
there's only 5. Maybe there's only 5. But yeah. And all of them are like different, and they just get dumber every single number up. It just gets worse.
It's Friday the 13th all over again, but
yes,
with Christmas lights. It's basically how I would describe that movie.
The other one that I have to watch, and I own it, and I actually have seen commercials about it being on. It's like going to be on E or something like that. Coming up this Christmas season is Santa's Sleigh.
Oh,
SLAY.
Yeah,
starring Bill Goldberg from
Goldberg from wrestling fame.
Yes. I can't stress it enough how amazing that movie is. In so many different ways. Especially the background story, where the only reason that Santa was bringing joy to children across the world was because he lost a bet with a disguised angel over curling.
Now there is a creative writing team.
And the whole point of the show or the movie is that his 1,000 years is up. And so now he's free to go back to being an evil, rampaging
mayhem. And
when the opening scene is Fran Drescher getting her hair caught on fire and then drowned in a vat of eggnog, you can't get much better than that.
No, that's a statement. It's an opening statement right there.
I might have to go watch it after the show.
Yeah, I was just going to say I wrote it down. So
you haven't seen it yet?
I have seen it, but it's been a long time
since
it's been a long time, but I have seen it, but it's been quite a while. But I think I'm going to dedicate like an afternoon or evening here to like binge like 3 or 4 kind of like darker side Christmas movies just for the hell of it.
As you should.
And I got to throw Krampus in there. And I'm shocked that you have not seen Krampus, the one made in 2015, because it's really a pretty good movie.
I heard it was good. It was just one of those things where I think I wanted to go and then just never got to it. And the opportunity to watch it just hasn't presented itself.
Yeah.
And so I just haven't gotten to it yet. It's on my list. Like It's a Wonderful Life.
Two totally different ends of the spectrum there.
Yes,
I think
indeed.
I think was it our last Christmas show, or maybe the one before anyway, we got kind of into Krampus a little bit. and talked about kind of the legend behind Krampus and
Yeah, because we did a show about what other
Christmas lore.
cultures, what other cultures and stuff have for Christmas, and Krampus was one of them. Yes.
Yeah, Krampus, the German Christmas devil.
Yeah.
Good movie, by the way. So, I mean, if you're looking for a little bit a Christmas movie that is not full of Christmas joy, a little bit darker, and carries with it like this kind of paranormal mythological figure. And since we're into the paranormal, I would say he's kind of like in that cryptid category. Maybe a demon, kind of like a cryptic demon. He's like a hybrid of a lot of different stuff. Anyway, good movie. Just enough terror to make it a good horror movie type of mentality, but also a good movie just in the fact like it's done really well.
So, since we're under 20 minutes left, I definitely want to get into this topic of discussion because it's important. And that is what constitutes a Christmas movie, and does Die Hard fit into it? Because people have split up over this question.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's one that is on everybody's mind every Christmas, because to me, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It takes place at Christmas.
Yeah.
There's a Christmas party.
Yeah.
I think somebody says Merry Christmas eventually.
Well, there's a lot of quotable lines in that movie, but yes, I believe that there's some holiday cheer being spread.
Well, exactly. Even when he throws the terrorist down the elevator shaft, he's like, "Now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho."
Right.
So there's a reference to Santa Claus.
Right.
So I believe, and it takes place Christmas Eve, doesn't it?
It certainly takes place at the holidays. Yeah. I don't remember if it's Christmas Eve exactly, but yeah.
Well, because I thought that was
it's like the next morning when he survives the whole ordeal, like Christmas Day or something like that.
Well, because I thought that the whole it was premised on the office party was Christmas Eve, and that they were doing this terroristic robbery or whatever on the holiday and blah blah blah. But so I think it even takes place on Christmas Eve. And if anybody who's listening wants to correct me if I'm wrong, be my guest.
And they were German terrorists, so they were sent by Krampus. Yeah,
there you go. Hans Gruber, was modern day Krampus.
That's right. That's a Krampus hit team right there coming to spoil Christmas.
Dirty rats. So yes, I definitely think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
I'm with you.
It's not your traditional Christmas movie.
No, but it's as kind of edgy as that movie really is. It's a feel-good movie because in the end he wins against insurmountable odds, right? And Bruce Willis was a great. I mean, now he's having some issues, but he was a great action kind of like movie star. Right, like you got behind him. His persona, like you cheered for him.
Exactly, just like you would Santa Claus.
Exactly,
and I mean, not only that, I mean,
Lethal Weapon, because Lethal Weapon's like one of those kind of edge of the fringe of Christmas too, but it takes place right around the holidays. Yeah, I know.
See, I wouldn't consider Lethal Weapon to be a Christmas movie.
There's a shootout in the Christmas tree lot.
Is there? I haven't watched the movie in a long time. Long time.
Yeah.
But is that the only Christmas like attributed to it?
No. Like Danny Glover's family, they're setting up for the holidays and stuff like that when he's on the crapper and the whole bomb goes, ready to blow inside the house. So, I mean, would I put that in my top Christmas movies? No, but we're talking about kind of fringe movies should they be included in Christmas? I mean, for Lethal Weapon, I would say honestly, for me, it's a coin flip. I would put, let's say, Gremlins and Trading Places as with Die Hard as Christmas movies versus, let's say, Lethal Weapon. See, Trading Places to me, absolutely classic movie. Early Eddie Murphy, funny as hell. Dan Aykroyd, funny as hell.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis in like her first topless scene, great as hell. And just a great story, of these two extremely wealthy guys who just manipulate these two lives in such an absolutely amazing way over a bet of $1, and then the payback that comes. It's just that, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it. Great irony, great twist towards the end of the movie. Lots and lots of good reasons to watch it. Jamie Lee Curtis topless is definitely one of the top 3 reasons. So,
said as a true man.
Yeah, yeah, that'll always be on for that. And Gremlins, also a great movie. Receives the little Mogwai as a Christmas gift, and then all hell breaks loose. It's just it's a fun movie that kind of jumps into the terror zone and then jumps out back into a fun feel-good movie. So I like that movie because it goes in a bunch of different directions, but it all makes sense. And it makes sense. Well, like, Santa Slays doesn't really, it's you're watching it for the graphic violence of,
I'm watching it for the sheer amazingness of it.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. Absolutely horrible movie in the scope of like actual good movies, but makes the list because it's just a classic B movie horror slasher that centers itself around Christmas and Billy's post-traumatic stress disorder watching his parents get killed Christmas Eve by a psychotic guy dressed in a Santa suit.
And number 2 is so memorable and so influential that there's like a series of things on YouTube that are a spin-off of one of the greatest scenes in that movie, where basically, just really quick, he goes down, he loses his mind, the brother loses his mind, starts shooting people. And you see this guy at the end of his driveway with his trash cans. And this guy literally just picks up his trash can and moves it like 1.5 feet and then sets it down. Like, he's already got it out there. He just moves it over about 1.5 feet and then sets it down. And then he gets, when he puts down, you see the brother, the killer guy, standing right in front of him. He's like, "Garbage day," and then he just kills him. Well, somebody liked that scene so much that they recreated that scene, but with different days. And so you have like Laundry Day and Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Oh my God.
They even have Judgment Day. And it is so amazing. And anybody who has never seen these, look them up on YouTube. They are so flippin' funny. But you have to watch the original. You have to watch the original scene first to get the context of why it is funny. But I want to talk about my number 1, which I have not talked about yet. You talked about Charlie Brown's Christmas.
Yep.
You did mention this earlier when I was talking about dramatic type movies, and that is the Santa Claus movies.
Mm-hmm.
Have to every year watch at least 1 and 2. For some reason, number 3 irks me.
Yeah, I didn't like
it. And maybe it's just because for like the first 3/4 of the movie, the bad guy wins, and I don't like anybody messing with Christmas.
Yeah.
So I will watch 1 and I will watch 2. And if I have time, maybe I'll throw in number 3. But number 1 and number 2, absolutely probably my 2 favorite Christmas movies, period. Have to watch them every year. It's the tradition.
Tim Allen as Santa Claus, when he's making the transformation and doesn't understand what's happening to him, is one of the best goddamn 20 minutes of cinema ever made. Like when he walks into the office meeting and he's like, and I'll have a salad, and then I'll have a hot turkey sandwich, and then
a hot fudge sundae.
Hot fudge sundae. Do you got a dessert list? And he just starts. It's just absolutely amazing. You know, it's just amazing. Shaves his beard, turns around, looks back in the mirror, and he's got the full Santa beard going. Completely doesn't understand what's happening to him. Just great movie, and a great feel-good movie too.
I agree. I mean, it doesn't get much better than when he's walking down the street and he's like, Tommy, naughty. And he's like, Sherry, nice. And he's like, Veronica, very nice. And she's like, in your dreams, sleigh boy.
And I gotta say, the guy, and I think I can't remember his name. It's like the guy with the sweaters who's like
Judge Reinhold.
Judge. I knew it was Judge. I was gonna say Judge, and then I'm like, no, his name can't be Judge, but it was in my mind, and I'm like, no, I think it is Judge, but I couldn't remember his last name. So he plays the absolute best catalyst of like Santa Claus and like trying to rationalize why Tim Allen is nuts and going insane when he's going through this transformation. It's just a beautiful movie. Really well written. Great story. Great. Love the movie.
Yes.
Love the movie.
And
modern classic.
I
Elf in there too.
You could throw because
Elf, absolutely hilarious modern classic Christmas movie.
Yeah, Krumholtz plays. I can't remember his. I want to say Dean, but I don't think it's Dean Krumholtz. David Krumholtz. There we go. Who plays the lead elf? Does an amazing job. And I was sorry that, like in number 3, he wasn't in it. But maybe it would have saved it if he could have been in it.
I never saw it.
You never saw number 3?
No.
Well, then how can whatever?
So I was this to like Santa Claus 3, hate it. Love the first 2. I would not sit and watch number 3. You couldn't get me to sit down. I don't give a shit. The only way you could get me to sit down and watch it is if you had like a seafood buffet or something. And I had to, in order to get to participate in the seafood buffet, I had to sit down, and it was on like some jumbo TV that was forced to watch. That's the only way in hell you're going to get me to watch it. Have you seen the new one? Because I have not seen the new one yet, called The Santa Clauses.
Oh, I mean, it's actually a series. It's not a movie.
Oh, I thought it was like the number 4. I thought it was like the 4th installment of the Santa Claus.
No, they actually made like a 42-minute like episode series of it. I have started to. I think I've watched like 1 or 2, and that's it.
Okay.
It's one of those things where like I know what the premise of the show is, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, that's disappointing. I was kind of like, that was on my list of like new Christmas things to watch this year, and like,
well, I would definitely recommend watching it. I mean, just because I can't bring myself to watch it doesn't mean that you shouldn't.
Right. Well, I'll certainly watch the first episode. Check it out. Like I said, I thought it was a movie. I didn't know it was
it's
an 8-part little mini thing like they like to make these days.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I think that we would not be doing our due justice if we did not bring up Home Alone.
Absolutely correct.
Because
phenomenal Christmas movie.
And that's like the kid version of Die Hard.
Right.
And so if Home Alone, and I think people have actually made this comparison and this quote, or not this quote, this comparison and this point that if Home Alone is a Christmas movie, how is Die Hard not?
I would agree. I wouldn't argue with that at all.
Because
how is Home Alone not a Christmas movie? It's filmed at Christmas time. The family goes on a vacation for Christmas. The kid is home alone, gets stranded at home. Everything in the house is decorated for Christmas. It's like it's Christmas. If it is it's all about Christmas.
He
And it
even
goes
goes
back
to
up
church
to
on
the
Christmas Eve.
Right. Right.
I mean, even number 2. Even number 2 is great.
Yeah, I agree. Christmas Vacation.
Uh-huh.
One of the most quotable, funniest damn Christmas movies, ever made, as far as I'm concerned. That's probably my number 1 Christmas comedy movie.
It's probably a good call. I think that's probably up there for me. Depends on if you would consider the Santa Claus a comedy, although it's probably more dramatic.
I think
And
Santa
then-
Claus is kind of more dramatic. It deals more with like life stresses, where I think Christmas Vacation is just from the get-go, it's just funny, stupid, outrageous shit. I mean,
Oh.
what are you gonna do with that tree? Bend over, I'll show you. I wasn't talking to you. I mean, there's just so many. Like I could quote, the whole squirrel thing in the tree, the cat electrocuting itself and leaving the burn mark in the rug. I mean, grandma, aunt singing national anthem, wraps the cat in a box, puts the turkey being explodes, and there's a billion great moments in that movie.
I mean, you can't even. I would like to know how many takes it took him to get through his insult rant against his boss.
That is
When he just ended with "Holy shit!
yeah,
Where's the Tylenol?"
yeah, or the sled scene where he puts and this is the new super Teflon that I'm working on, polyabsorbent cereal crusting spray agent that we're working on. And he sprays it on the sled, and he takes off, and he's going so fast the snow's on fire. It's just classic, And who hasn't said "shitter's full"? I mean, everybody who's ever seen that movie at least once has sometime in their life said that. It's just it's just hilarious. Phenomenal movie.
I agree, and it for anybody who's listening, because we only have a few minutes left now.
Yeah.
If we haven't talked about your favorite, I'm sure
Shame
it's
on
amazing.
us. Yeah.
Shame on us. Absolutely. Write in and let us know if we did not touch on your favorite Christmas movie. I think last year, and I want to do it again this year too, because we have more listeners this year than we did last year, which is amazing. Thank you guys so much for that. We love the fact that you love our show, or you love the show, not our show, but the show, and that's why we do it every week. But last year we asked people to write in their favorite Christmas, like memory, and stuff like that, and then we read them over the air instead of stories.
Right.
And I would love to do that again this year. So for anybody who's listening, write us in. Talk about your favorite movie, and what it means to you. Your favorite family tradition, anything like that. OdysseyFilesRadio@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on any of our social media pages. But it's very important to us to share those good vibes and that good energy with everybody.
Yep.
So I definitely want to do that again next week, because that will be the final show of the year. So
I'm gonna go on a limb and say there's gonna be a few stories that have food in them,
as they should,
because I was gonna say, because that is one of the best things around Christmas is all of the delectable treats, and then obviously like Christmas meal and your love with your family and people that might not be with us anymore, and being able to reflect on those great memories.
The 3 F's of Christmas: friends, family, food.
Hear, hear.
All right. And so with that said, we will see everybody all next week. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe. Everyone, have a great night.